have family who are like, you're crazy. Like, what are you doing? Like, what advice do you have for like beginners who are just like exploring the potential of this kind of for themselves, and what they might say to the people that might be confused or doubting them, you know, on the side?
Man. It's so tough because we all deal with our own internal monologue, which can be really not nice. I think like sometimes the meanest people or the most critical or most doubtful people in our lives can be us. Mm-hmm. And so when you think about that in combination with outside people and forces and noises, whatever you want to call it, also doubting you, also questioning you, that is freaking tough. I think something that I start my students off with is we start off with mindset. And, you know, I'm not a mindset coach by any means, so it's not something I can dive super, super deep into, but there are things very much related to social media that I think are also related to our life, and identifying what those are, just so that you can at first be aware of what those sort of mindset obstacles, I call them. And imposter syndrome is probably the top one that's huge. Comparison, fear of judgment, overthinking, just to name a few. And so I think step one is being able to identify those, whether they're coming from yourself in that interior monologue, or whether they're coming from Aunt Sue or whoever, the neighbor down the street, just so that you can, I feel like that awareness level just creates a little bit of a barrier to not let it fully like infiltrate your energy and your mind. But man, it's hard. It's hard enough just doing something, and then having people doubt you is a whole other ball game. And I've been fortunate enough, like my mom, she's just heard every line in the book, like, oh, I'm gonna be an art major. Okay, Jara, like I'm gonna be a SoulCycle instructor. That sounds great. Like I'm gonna do this Instagram thing. Awesome. I've been so lucky that, and my dad too, that they're always so supportive of whatever kind of pivot. But seeing how that sometimes is not true for a lot of people, especially my students, whether it's a family member or a partner, not really understanding when you are so in depth and ingrained in trying to make this change and start something, it's freaking hard. So I think identifying those, and then also just knowing you're not alone, like a lot of other people, just sometimes that feeling of just knowing that someone else is feeling that and experiencing that too can just kind of have a grounding effect, I think.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like such good advice. Like write that down, you guys. And it's so true. The thing that I find the biggest obstacle to be in the beginners, because like your social media student is a little bit like Ignite, which is like kind of my course for those who are just like stepping into this space for the first time maybe, or just, you know, have been, but been pretty hiding, you know, still a lot. Yeah. A lot of it is like, you know, becoming the observer of your experience and not necessarily buying into the thoughts that pop into your head. And I like to think about it like, think about being a curious child. Children are never judgmental. They're never mean. Like, I mean, maybe when they get to a certain age, I was bullied. Yeah, so I can say it, you know?
I get what you mean.
I'm not gonna say they're not mean. They can be really brutal. But like, you know, like when they're like really, really, really little, you know, they're very like, it's sweet and curious. And it's just about like looking at things and unearthing things and not putting too much judgment or criticism or weight on it. And then just like you said, asking yourself, like, is this mine? Does this belong to me? Is this really, you know, my voice, or is this coming from somewhere else? And I found too that the minute I started to like analyze that, I started to be able to release those stories and those beliefs and kind of like almost like flush them out until I could hear myself think, which was like, okay, this feels scary and it's fine. Like you're gonna be fine, and your community needs you.
Yeah. And just that, it's sort of similar to what you said about being a child and being curious, something that I think I've only started saying this like the last couple months. Maybe I heard it somewhere, maybe it just came out one day and it stuck with me, I forget. But this concept of embracing the suck, and that kind of goes back to that childlike spirit of being curious and trying and observing and unearthing. I think as adults we have, and maybe it's that we're adults, or maybe it's just this culture we're in of where everything is instantaneous, but you sometimes can feel like okay, if I try this, this has to work, and I have to go from 0 to 100 in a day or a week and have it all figured out. And I'm sure this applies to so many different businesses and niches. I see it so much with social media that someone's like, hey, I posted consistently for a week and my engagement isn't going up. And I'm like, hold on, like, talk to me in a year.
Thanks for watching, you guys. If you enjoyed this, click here to check out the full podcast episode. Click here to check out our full library of podcast episodes. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you can be the first to know when we're posting new ones. I'll see you soon.